Welcome to another episode of Uncensored Daily Radar, where your fellow foiled friend scans the entire globe for what may or may not be artificial and nefarious activity. We go through satellite radar, as well as the Zippity Zip Zap radar, aka NEXRAD, to better understand atmospheric and environmental conditions in full context. Before we get started, there are a few things that you should know. Number one, I repeat, I am not a meteorologist, but I am a tinfoil hat-wearing conspiracy theorist, which obviously makes me far more qualified to analyze atmospheric conditions. Number two, videos are fairly short, but feel free to skip ahead to any section you're most interested in. And lastly, if you'd like to see these daily radar videos, please consider becoming a paid subscriber. Otherwise, this video is about to reach a paywall, and we'll pause right now. Now. Okay. All right, let's get started. Good afternoon. It is November 30th, about 2:50 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Let's get started. I hope you guys had a great holiday and ate all the food you love. Let's get a quick overview of what's happening on NEXRAD. Then we're going to hop into some data and news. Not a lot of news, some news, but not a whole variety of news. And then we'll come back, we'll zoom in, check out NEXRAD on a more local level, and then we'll finish out with trails. This is that winter storm that was passing through. Record-breaking snowfall in many, many areas. It was intense. Definitely trails in here. Looks like down here as well. Hey kiddo, can you please close your door? I'm filming my show. All right, so yeah, definitely we've got a traily situation over here, and I'm gonna play this really fast. So I actually can't play it fast today for some reason. I've tried reloading this multiple times. This is the fastest I can get it to go. Very weird. And normally I like to play it fast because sometimes things reveal themselves better, but I can fast forward it in editing, or when I'm looking at it in playback at least. So these towers are emitting a lot last night, which that blue and green is supposed... Hold on, let's see what happens when this precipitation goes over. Interesting. Yeah, the playback on here is tough. So I suppose that's precipitation moving through. It's just weird that there's like this dead zone here. Normally you should be able to see it moving through. It's the bird migration map. Yeah, they're not out there. And they weren't out there. Ooh, other than that, really not seeing much. Whoa, hello. All right. Don't you forget about me. Don't you. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, I'm not really seeing anything concerning. At least zoomed out. All right, let's check out some data. All right, let's check out some data. We'll start with weather warnings. Looks like we still have some rip current warnings in the southeastern coastline of Florida. And then we got over on the panhandle. Yeah, rip current statements as well.
And we have along the North Carolina, Virginia up to New Jersey, actually all the way up on the eastern seaboard, some gale wind warnings, moderate gale watch actually. In New England, we still have that severe winter storm watch, the area that we see the precipitation going over right meow. That's where it is right now, so it's mostly on its way out. Along the Great Lakes, we've got wind advisories. Dun, 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 dun. Northern Indiana, severe winter storm warning. So they must have some patches coming through. And Western Tennessee, Arkansas, Kentucky, moderate winter weather advisory. And that must be for some upcoming storm because I'm not seeing it. Monday. Huh. I suppose we're going to have something forming out here in the next day. Illinois, northern Missouri, Kansas, moderate winter weather advisory as well. And this is also for tomorrow, starting tomorrow. From 12 to 6 a.m. on Tuesday. 12 on Monday to 6 a.m. Tuesday. Is today Sunday? Is that for real? Oh my gosh. I don't know what's going on. All right, Colorado, moderate winter weather advisory. Utah, moderate winter weather advisory. We've got in southeastern Wyoming, severe high wind watch. Northern Montana, cold weather advisory. Very cold wind chills as low as 30 below. Along the western coastline, we probably still have those beach hazards. Yep, high risk of sneaker waves. I say this every time, but take this seriously. Unfortunately, entire families have been killed recently by a 25-foot wave just out of nowhere, coming over and just pulling them into the water. It's absolutely tragic. Father and his 7-year-old daughter and other people recently as well. Southern California under severe freeze watch. Los Angeles specifically moderate wind advisory. That is just, oh, interesting. Guys, remember what I've been saying? When we see that flame-like radar, it usually means wildfire or crazy severe winds are on the way. Interesting. And the thing is that you see it before the winds even show up. Much of the time. Don't you dun, 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 get about me. I don't watch TV. If I have something on that, like, if I want to listen to something but not something I have to pay attention to, I'll just hit play on whatever is recommended on really whatever app I'm using. I'll just hit play. I don't even look at it. I don't watch the trailer. I just let it go. But I did choose to watch Stranger Things season 5 and started with episode 1. It's interesting. I wish 11 was like OG 11. Bald, super powerful. Now she's more like, feminine and girly, which is cool. But I think she was way cooler bald. Okay, so we do have some news to go over. This storm here, this tropical depression, this guy really, really destroyed Sri Lanka. So far, unfortunately, and hopefully no more, but, Over 200 people have died. Yeah. It got really bad. The whole place is underwater. Absolutely tragic. We'll cover that in a bit. And India's got a lot of flooding going on as well. But man, I mean, this just happened, and 200 people have been so far found and confirmed, but the whole place is still underwater. Like, I mean, I can't imagine what that death toll is going to be like. We still don't know what the death toll is for North Carolina. We just don't. Hundreds and hundreds of people, I'm sure. And there's just a big cover-up with that. We have Koto, the tropical storm. That's just been kind of meandering through here. Is set to hit. That's Vietnam, right? Can't see with all this. Yeah, I think it's Vietnam. Category 1. Man, I might be... Yeah, Vietnam. Okay, and we've got Tropical Depression 34 on its way through this area. Yeah, this area has just been getting nonstop tropical systems. Nonstop. And we would be too if it weren't for the famous Saharan dust. Because most of our tropical systems come out of this area, but with so much particulate in the air, actually, you can use chemtrails to prevent crazy weather. Because when you overload the atmosphere with particulates, you prevent the storm from being able to form. But inadvertently, if you do it long enough, you can cause major, major storms to form because, anyway, that's a whole thing. There was an MIT study, fine, I'll tell you. There was an MIT study where if you do enough stratospheric aerosol injection, if you were to load up the stratosphere with particulate, it does actually prevent storm clouds from forming so easily. And so instead of that moisture collecting into clouds and dropping, it evenly disperses through the air like humidity. So it creates higher humidity levels down on the ground level. The problem is, over time, as the humidity levels go up, there's only so much suppression that can happen. Eventually, it does need to form a storm cloud. So what it does is pretty much causes you to delay just the regular storms, the regular rainfall from happening, increases the humidity like crazy, and so these storm clouds start forming like these steroid clouds who are going in opposition of that particulate infestation, and it just collects, and these giant tall storm clouds form, and that's when you get the catastrophic rainfall, catastrophic winds, catastrophic floods, catastrophic storms, very powerful storms, which inadvertently, ironically, the stronger the storm, the more heat that gets released. So you're actually creating higher temperatures down on the ground level by preventing just average rainfall and encouraging severe storms from forming. But anyway, all that to say that, the Saharan dust is a natural form of particulate. It moves around, it'll sometimes be all the way over here or like south or whatever. It's generally in this area, but it moves around a bit. And this does prevent the storms from forming. AQI. Oh, one of the many mysteries we discuss. Why has this area been under a constant AQI warning? The area here is disgusting. Anything over 30 I'm unhappy with. You want as close to zero as possible. This is awful. Disgusting. I wouldn't go outside in this. I wouldn't open my windows in this. Ugh. This is the area that's been under fog, that was under fog for like a week straight. Rolling in at 3 p.m. makes no sense. Why would it do that in the middle of the day? Yeah. Ugh. I complain, right? The U.S. shouldn't have these issues. We shouldn't. There's cause for it. The causes here are more difficult to find. Oof, that's bad. Africa, a lot of this is actually dust. This is all that dust. I mean, maxing out. The meters usually go up to about 500. I can't believe I was able to pick up 501. Never seen that before. They should max out at 500. Yeah, so most of that is just severe dust. Now you go to India, and this is their standard. This is how they live. This is factory pollution. This is disgusting pollution. Disgusting. Over here is not good either, although I believe they have wildfires in these areas here right now. Isn't that crazy how the pollution pretty much takes the shape of their country? Pakistan's over here. India's like, anytime they flood, they release the dams and Pakistan gets flooded. So Pakistan deals with like India's flooding issues. And then they also are completely caked in India's factory pollution. It's bad. I don't know at all what I know that they're not friends right now, but I don't really know much about their cultures or their politics. But it looks like Pakistan's got like a really bad neighbor. I gotta charge my computer. That's why so many of us just don't like an HOA, because then you have to deal with your neighbor. If your neighbor wants to throw pesticides all over their property, even though it gets into your land, can't say anything about it. Yeah. And to be fair, I don't really know what Pakistan's doing out there with their factories, but India is... Honestly, I'm annoyed with them right now because their organic textile exports, the ones that they claim are organic, yeah, they've been found to not be organic. They're just like slapping labels on those and shipping them out. There are like so many companies that are selling their like organic products using Indian certified organic cotton. It's not. Something like 80% of their organic cotton isn't freaking organic cotton. And then all the scam calls I've been getting, I'm annoyed. I'm annoyed. We have high pressure, low pressure, low pressure. These are just the major fires that have been happening. 104 acres burned. Looks like that one's probably out by now. 343 acres. Yeah. And wow, this is the least amount of smoke I've seen on the fire map. Incredible. Latest earthquakes. Nothing worth mentioning. Bird migration map. You know what I'm having a really hard time finding? Non-toxic fabric. Non-toxic curtains. Speaking of frickin' India's fraudulent organic cotton exports. I'm trying to put some frickin' curtains on my slider. Is that too much to ask? Curtains that don't have formaldehyde or flame retardants. Do you know? Because a lot of people are like, well, if you don't touch it, what's the problem? Yeah, well, I wish it were that simple. I really do. Because formaldehyde, like that stuff off gases. for a long time. It's not just when you first buy it, it's for a long time. And it literally emits toxic gas. It's not an exaggeration. It's legit. You know, we normalize toxicity to the point where if you consider not using it, you're like, you know, deemed dramatic. Whatever. There have been many things humans have done in the past that are absolutely outrageous, but at the time seemed completely acceptable and normal. And using formaldehyde and flame retardants is insane. Flame retardant dust absorbs through the skin and it gets everywhere. You know, I mean, if you don't believe it gets everywhere, I mean, just go on the top of your ceiling fan, go to the tops of your kitchen cabinets, swipe your finger across and look at that dust. That dust is primarily from your skin, from your hair. It's mostly from living organisms. It's not like you ever went on top of the kitchen cabinet, yet your skin's there. It goes to the HVAC, things like that. And anyway, this flame retardant dust, it lowers IQ. It has so many implications. You know, it's not good for pets, especially, oh my gosh, if you have kids. Not good for kids. So anyway, I'm just trying to just want something untreated. Something untreated. I mean, I'm willing to buy the fabric myself and sew it. It's super easy to make curtains. I've done it before. But even finding fabric. Yes, you can buy 100% organic cotton or as long as it's not from India. And you can buy 100% linen. But that's not the problem. The problem is the treatment. It's hard to find untreated fabric. And then I find out that acrylic, if you wear acrylic clothing, it can cause really high levels of acrylonitrile in your body, which is neurotoxic. Anyway, I can go on a rant, guys. I can go on a rant. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. So this is a more intense fire map. This is like all the hot spots that the satellite's picking up. Right meow. I say right meow because I've got cats. And the cats are on my mind right now. I'm looking at them. They are basking by that slider, that curtainless slider, and they are dreaming kitty cat dreams. They look so snuggly and adorable. You know, this whole area supposedly was once upon a time a giant lake. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that lake was purposefully dried out. This whole area here. Giant lake. That's a rabbit hole. All right, let's go check out some news. Winter storm to ring in December from Midwest to Northeast, bringing travel-disrupting heavy snow. Travel-disrupting snow indeed. An aircraft slid off the runway. No one was hurt. I'll discuss that. What? Anyone gonna talk? A post-Thanksgiving blitz of winter weather that started with the season's first significant storm in much of the Midwest will continue in the first few days of December as a new snowstorm takes shape and spans nearly 24 states from Kansas to Maine. The storm is expected to bring first widespread accumulating snow of the season to much of the interior Northeast on Tuesday. Just a day after many parts of the Midwest will experience a second covering of snow
So it begins.
in as many days.
Lake effect snow.
Okay. Yeah, I keep forgetting that the only people that really do winter news vids and attach them to their articles is Fox. Everyone else does not. Speaking of which, Delta aircraft slides off runway upon icy landing in Des Moines. I always want to say Des Moines International Airport. All passengers are safe. This video does not cover that because I believe that just happened.
Midwest, as major cities were completely buried under the snow. Winter warnings were issued, and a significant number of records were also broken over the past 24 hours. So we're breaking this down for you. I want to touch in, though, Nick, in St. Louis to start us off. 6.4 inches. That is the snowiest November day they've had in 50 years. So very historic for a lot of folks. That's the fourth snowiest November day on record for St. Louis as well. So just keep that in mind. So multiple areas are breaking records here. What you're looking at on your screen is just some time lapses of some of that snow blowing on in. It's been incredible to watch. Maybe not so incredible to be standing in, though, Nick. So I know that you've been kind of dealing with a lot of that. But we are going to be watching out for more coming in through the next couple of hours. We do have our Mike Seidel also out there. Fox Weather Storm Specialist Mike Seidel back with us this morning with the latest. Mike, tell us how those conditions have been since yesterday. I know you've been in Des Moines, Iowa for the past 48 hours or so.
Yeah, today the issue is the cold and the wind chill right now. Bang, good morning. It's 13, the coldest temperature they've had so far this season, but by the end of the week, it's going down below zero. The wind chill this morning already below zero right now at 4 below. Winds have been running 15 to 20. We've had gusts to 30 and a little blowing snow, especially out there in the hinterland. Here in Des Moines, officially through midnight, storm total of 10.9 inches. That is their biggest snowfall since 1968 and their first double digit, as the case would be. So their third biggest November snowfall on record. So a lot of snow, and it's going nowhere today and for the rest of the week, because today and tomorrow the highs will be in the low to mid 20s, the average highs in the low 40s. Let's talk about the airports. Now, we talked about Des Moines with 10.9. Last night, a Delta regional jet slid off the taxiway. Nobody's hurt. Everybody's fine. This is around 10:30 Central last night. Everybody was bused to the terminal, and they shut down the airport. 2 flights were diverted, one to Omaha and one to Kansas City. And as far as I can tell, the airport is open this morning. It's not showing up as closed on the FAA website. They just had to get that plane out of the way. So thankfully, everybody's okay with that situation. Over at O'Hare, a better day today. Yesterday, it was awful. It was wretched. 1,100 flights canceled yesterday. That's about half of everything that goes in and out of one of the busiest airports on the planet. This morning, about 180 canceled. That's less than 10%, so a much, much better day today. There may be a little bit of de-icing this morning if the plane sat there overnight. Chicago, through midnight, had 8.4 inches, not quite a top 5 November snowstorm, but then it did snow a little bit after midnight, so we'll have to get an update here in the next hour or so. As far as the weather goes here, again, just bitterly cold today, and tomorrow we'll get a little bit of sunshine. I did notice Interstate 235 this morning is mostly wet. There's still some slush on it, but these roads, which have been scraped as good as they can. In fact, the whole city has been plowed overnight as the snow ended. In fact, I looked out around, I think 11 o'clock or so, I woke up and I saw the moon over the skyline. You can see the roads still have snow and slush. This will tend to melt off a little bit today when we get some sunshine. And Bain, unlike yesterday, for most of the day, we can see the Capitol about 0.6 of a mile away here in Des Moines this morning. So quite a storm, especially this early in the season. Here's another great, I love juicy weather stats. 10.9 is 75% of the snowfall they had all of last year. All of last year, they only had 14.3. So they are making up for the lost time for last year's snow drought here in this part of the Midwest.
Ooh, definitely making up for it there, Mike, for sure. And yeah, definitely a totally different scene that you're looking at right now. Much clearer conditions. Hopefully those roads get cleaned up very quickly. And thanks for being out there. Hopefully you're staying nice and warm. We're going to be checking in with you over the next couple of hours. We'll talk to you soon.
Yep. Lots of snow. Oh, okay. There's a picture. Yeah, Delta flight skid off the runway. Just slid off the runway at Des Moines Airport due to ice and snow. Everyone's fine on the plane. Yeah, that looks, yeah, they barely went off the runway. That could have been really, really, really bad. You know, I was going to cover this, and I am going to cover this. But 4 children hospitalized after a bouncy castle flew over a fence due to a freak tornado. Supposedly, this tornado just like appeared out of nowhere and picked this thing up and threw it. This was yesterday. Wait, was this in? Hold on, wait. Oh, this was in Australia? Hold on. This same thing happened in Australia. There's another story about this happening in Australia, but like more than a year ago. And unfortunately, in that story, multiple kids died. Well, that's what I was going to say is I thought this was a crazy story, but turns out this has happened on more than one occasion. It's happened numerous times. Bouncy castles just pick up and blow away. I thought it was interesting when they said that there was no wind and then all of a sudden it was crazy windy and the whole thing got picked up and thrown. You know, I thought that was weird because we have had instances of microbursts, these unusual, I don't consider natural events where it's not even a tornado, but it's tornado force winds just moving in a single direction. Yes, they have occurred in history, of course, but we're seeing them commonly now. Super crazy stuff. And the Palisades fire, state planned to let park burn in wildfire event, documents have recently revealed. Wildfire management plan instructs officials to let it burn in certain circumstances, a policy now under scrutiny after the Palisades fire killed 12 people, destroyed 7,000 structures in what became the third most destructive wildfire in California history. Documents obtained through public records show that the state's wildfire mitigation plan for Topanga State Park explicitly states, unless specified otherwise, state parks prefer to let Topanga State Park burn in a wildfire event. Interesting. Yeah. More on that. You can check it out. And before we talk about Sri Lanka, again, Sri Lanka is off the southeastern coastline of India. And we'll talk about what happened there. Sri Lanka floods after Cyclone Ditwa, I didn't know how to pronounce that before, I still don't now, caused over 200 deaths. Official data confirmed 212 dead, 218 people still listed as missing. The information is coordinated with local administrative authorities. About 200,000 people were evacuated to 1,275 temporary shelters. Rivers overflowed their banks. Flooding towns and landslides have been recorded in the mountainous regions of the central part of the country. 24,000 military personnel, police, and rescuers have been mobilized for operations. Reports more than 120 people were evacuated by helicopters after the destruction of the Reservoir Dam in the eastern portion of the country. About 2,000 people were moved to higher ground. This is slightly older, outdated in their numbers, but some video footage at least.
The death toll from floods and landslides on the Indonesian island of Sumatra surged to the hundreds, disaster officials said on Saturday, as rescuers raced to find hundreds more still missing. The island's northern regions were the hardest hit, with roads cut off and communications infrastructure destroyed. Aerial footage showed streets and homes submerged in Sibolga, a port city on the west coast of North Sumatra. In isolated villages on the northern tip of the island, people said they were still waiting for aid days after cyclonic rains caused the deadly flooding. This woman said she was injured but was unable to get to the hospital as her motorbike was swept away by the floods. In Dagang Raya village, the community pulled together to set up a public kitchen to help feed people. But village chief Mustafa Hasim said they had so far only received 2 bags of rice and no medical aid. The head of Indonesia's disaster mitigation agency told reporters the military will beef up its forces on Sunday to help with relief efforts. Large parts of Indonesia, Malaysia and Thailand have been stricken by cyclone-fueled torrential rain for a week, with a rare tropical storm forming in the Malacca Strait. Meanwhile, Sri Lanka has also reported a ballooning death toll after a separate cyclone brought downpours that triggered floods and landslides. Numerous people were trapped on rooftops, and Air Force footage showed people being airlifted to safety. Food aid from India arrived early on Saturday to assist in relief efforts as Cyclone Ditwa moved across Sri Lanka towards southern India. Weather officials have forecast continued rain over the weekend, raising fears of further flooding in already waterlogged regions.
Wow, I guess that's an AI voice. I guess they use those now. Yeah, that was more than just about what happened to Sri Lanka, but still newsworthy. Lots of areas have dealt with. I mean, we've been covering this, guys. You know this. The tropical systems over here have just been relentless, nonstop, and there were two down here recently as well. All right, let's zoom in and check out NEXRAD close-up, see if we miss anything. See if we missed anything not being zoomed in sometimes. I'm going to check out the far western states and then the far eastern states and the central states. That tower there flickered a bit, but the other ones, not a flickering. Yeah, we have that flame-like radar coming off of California, which again indicates high winds or even fires. That zip-zappery you're seeing down in Southern California from this tower has been 24/7 since I started the show. It's never ever stopped. It's the only place in the country that's like that. This tower has been beaming down into New Mexico for a while. Weeks, actually. That is interesting. Not much else to mention over there. Yeah, definitely a lot of trails in this area. Zip, zip. Nope, doesn't look like any kind of frequency manipulation happening. Definitely trails coming in here, but no unusual tower behavior. NEXRAD is actually super quiet. Wonder if the employees take a holiday break. This is interesting. Looks like some precipitation moving down here, but it looks like glitter by the time it reaches these towers. Looks interesting. Just looks a little interesting. I don't think I've ever seen precipitation look that way. It could be snow. Maybe that's why it looks so dusty. I don't know. Weird looking. And I already mentioned that tower. Yeah, that tower goes out and comes back. These towers here are kind of glistening non-stop, which is interesting. Look at that. What is that? See that? Let's just make sure. All right, so unrelated to birds, just want to make sure. Yeah, definitely weird. Where was I? Where am I? What? I make these desserts that I love, but the number one ingredient is black beans. You would never know it. No one ever knows it. When they're like, oh, wow. Because I make the brownies with it, the pies with it, the cakes with it. It is pretty much the batter. And no one ever knows it. Crazy high protein. Also controls your insulin spikes because it is so crazy high in protein. I've been eating leftovers every day. I'm obsessed. Alrighty then, the last stop is to check out the trails. Now last night we did review trails, so this is going since slightly before what we covered last night to now. As you can see, we still have a crazy amount of trails all over the frickin' place, really. Let's go to right now. Ooh, crazy amount of trails in here. We'll zoom in. Crazy amount of trails over here, over here. Ooh, loads of them coming in from the Pacific. Got some trails in Canada. Like I said, we'll zoom in. I'm just getting a general overview because when you zoom in, there might be some little glitches here and there. Looks like we still have some trails moving up through northern Mexico. Not common to see that, but we've been seeing it last couple of days. And over here, some trails out here in the Atlantic. Over here, moving into Europe. You can see all that. Or I can see all that, at least, without zooming in. Could have a trail situation here. I'll have to let it play. I believe there are trails in there. We'll have to zoom in and confirm one way or the other. Now, oftentimes, for the last month or two, actually, we've been seeing trails coming in here into Chile and Argentina. Not seeing any obvious ones, but it does look like a little bit of aftermath over here. Oh, all right, I see one there. All right, let's zoom on in, shall we? Oh my goodness, look at all that. We'll switch satellites and get a better view of that as well. California, the land of the homeless. Sorry, that was the South Park rendition. In the city of Santa Monica, California, the land of the homeless. That's the only version of the song that I know. I know that's a remix. I lived in California. The song's not wrong. Lots of trails here, 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 here. Oh, yeah, look at all that. Boom, 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 boom. My goodness. It's loaded. Loaded. Oh my gosh. Look at all these. All these black lines are trails. High altitude trails. Trails. Oh. My goodness. Look at all these black lines. They are everywhere. Oh, whoa. Oh my gosh, Becky. Look at this. Look at this. It's like a psychopath was given a marker and it didn't like this person. That's what this looks like. Wow. Oh my gosh. Okay, screenshot. One for the books. Now this is going in the books. I don't have a book yet. Oh, that's a good idea, actually. Like an actual book. I was thinking just like a diary or something. Just keeping the craziest ones, but you guys might want to check that out too. In the city, Santa Monica, California. Yeah, guys, I mean, my gosh. This definitely top 10 most trails I've ever seen anywhere on Earth. Right here. Happening right now. This is the latest. This is disgusting. I mean, even if these aren't chemtrails, this is disgusting. Because this is like jet exhaust turning into clouds and resulting in precipitation and snow. It's falling down with the snow. Ew. Disgusting. So disgusting. Now, we do have some fires down here, I believe, which, remember what I said about particulates and the other shows, that when there's a lot of particulate in the air, you actually can increase the likelihood of persistent contrails. They do exist. They can exist. Just you shouldn't be seeing them this frequently, and you shouldn't be seeing them last forever. You shouldn't be seeing them last forever. Look at this. They spread into the clouds. Ugh. But, theoretically, if you were to raise the particulate level in the atmosphere where the planes are flying, then you could cause almost every plane to leave a persistent contrail. So, like, if some of them are leaving chemtrails and that particulate is spreading throughout the atmosphere, and then a plane flies through that area, they could leave a persistent contrail because the particulate is there to pick up that moisture and form that contrail. There's so many moving parts. One thing is for certain, the United States has so much particulate in the air, whether or not it's because of every single one of these trails or because of something else causing the planes to leave these trails. I don't know. But we all know that the most disgusting atmospheric portion of the planet is over India. And we rarely see trails over India. I saw them yesterday, took note of it. Rarely see trails over India. So if pollution were the number one cause of this particulate accumulation resulting in persistent contrails, then you would most definitely see this level or worse over India and over China, yet we rarely see them over there. Don't we? These trails all appeared simultaneously. Dun 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 dun. Oh my gosh, I'm going crazy. So I'm waiting for curtains to come in the mail. I've not confirmed whether they are. This is before I went down the rabbit hole of certifications and stuff for the fabric. And they're all frauds, I tell you. All frauds. But I'm putting them up temporarily just to like take pictures and determine color. Because I'm probably just going to buy the fabric. Yeah, we do have trails out here, guys. We do. We do indeed. We do indeed. Look at all this. Look at all the wispies. He's so wispies. And we have one little trail down here. One confirmed little trail. I feel like Bob Ross. Just put one little trail over here. Gosh, I love Bob Ross. His episodes are amazing. We are in the Southern Pacific. Ooh, what was that? 1330. I'm going to reload the page and see if that shows up. Nope, it doesn't. This is legit unavailable. Could just be a glitch, but worth noting at 1330 UTC, between 1300 and 1400 UTC, we have no data. Hawaii. I lived with a Hawaiian once. It was my roommate. She said, Hawaii were the three acceptable ways you could say Hawaii. How do people say it? Like a lot of people just say Hawaii. I'm so used to it now. I've been saying it Hawaii for so long. I don't even remember how. Hawaii. Ugh. Yeah, I got trails out here. Hawaiians. I never got that part down. Yeah. It's beginning to look a lot like trails here all the livelong day. You know, I was classically trained. I actually sing, but I use my voice more for silliness than what I ever expected when I was a kid. I always thought I'd be a professional singer. I didn't exactly know what that meant, though I thought I did. Gosh, look at that. Look at this one. Watch this one trail here get pushed by the wind. It just whoosh. Oh, bunch of frickin' sick. Eat sick, I say, sick. Repugnant. Repugnation station. Looks like we have some trails over Alaska as well. Only a couple though. And the remnants. Earth is so interesting. Hello, Australia. G'day. Could be some in here. I'm not seeing any obvious ones, though. Joy to the world. Let earth receive her king. Whoa. The heck's that? Gravity waves. So look at this. Watch that. See this move outward like a shock wave, sound wave. Cray cray. I want to see what happened before that. I won't load that yet though, because it'll mess up all the other stuff I've loaded. So I will check back on that in a minute. Yeah, nothing but a hound dog crying all the time. Yeah, nothing. And there's that mess maker, that troublemaker. You said you ain't no corner rabbit and you ain't no friend of mine. You said you was high class. Yeah, that was just a lie. Wait, what? Those trails over Sri Lanka right now? Those better be persistent contrails because those people have gotten obliterated. I do have to load more time. I want to zoom in there and see better. We got trails all over India. We saw them yesterday too, guys. Remember what I said? What did I say? I said, if we continue seeing trails, then we should expect to see some pretty crazy news coming out of India in the next 48 to 72 hours. It's been 24 hours since I said that. Granted, we do have an actual depression coming through. So these are the trails actually I saw yesterday. All right, so today, somewhat fewer. Wow, look at that. We have some in China. Right now, I'm only seeing them in Russia right now. And over here, look at that coloring up there. Ooh-wee. That is very vibrant red. And the thing about that that's confusing is I don't think that's this category. Maybe that's, I don't know exactly what that means. Maybe it's red over yellow? And maybe that's why it's looking like that. I don't know, but this is red over yellow. It doesn't normally look like that. And we do have trails over Russia. And over here we got trails. Definitely. And we have some trails coming off of this area. Now, I have seen over Africa, I don't see trails ever, but if I have seen them, it's been right around here. And they usually appear for very brief moments, which makes me think that they are contrails. You don't see them get left and then last for 7 to 24 hours. Okay, we just saw one get left right here. It's about to get thicker. 23, okay, 45 minutes. Gone. It's gone within an hour and a half. So, more likely contrails, persistent contrails that are lasting for less than 2 hours. Lots of trails coming up here. My Italian friends, when's the last time you saw a clear sky, huh? Been months and months and months of constant haze. You guys usually get them in the form of a haze after they've already broken up. Oh yeah, and some of the trails being left out in the Atlantic that are likely meant for Europe are hitting the very tip of Africa. Look at that. Interesting. So this satellite cut out some time. On the 29th, there is no selection for the 18th or 19th hour of the day. Is there any other that's missing? Interesting. Let's go down to the 16th hour. Wait, is that all that's available for the 16th hour? Yeah, let's see what's available for the 15th hour. Only these. 14th hour? Okay. Yeah, because I have them at 45-minute intervals, so that makes sense. All right. Interesting indeed. All right, what about the 30th? All right, looks good. 29th. All right. All right, all right, all right. Do that. All right, let's see. Trails. The trails over Europe always look slightly different from what we've got in the US. Do you remember the US had for a while there trails that were much more faint? They were more faint and they dissipated rapidly. Now we have pretty OG trails. But Europe has been very consistent. Their trails typically look a little bit more faint, lower altitude. But anyway, yeah, they've got them still. Same place. Doesn't matter the time of year, it's consistent. Doesn't matter the time of year, it's consistent. Truly. I mean, we'll know for sure by March. But so far, every day, since March, we're almost in December here. Trails have been left in the same places. If this were all condensation trails, because I'm constantly I'm my own devil's advocate. I'm trying to prove one way or the other through pattern recognition, and it is odd. If these were contrails, you wouldn't see them all year. The Earth is tilting. We should be seeing more contrails down south, and yet we're not. The environment is shifting with the seasons, yet we're not seeing a shift in the contrails at all. I mean, you could give me a map and I'll circle the areas contrails will be and where they have been. There are some outliers, of course, like India, maybe has had trails, a total of, like confirmed for sure trails, because sometimes they look like contrails. I don't know, less than 10 times since March. But the US and Europe, fewer than 10 days, no trails. And then people like to compare air traffic. I'm sorry, Asia and India, even frickin' Africa. They've got plenty of air traffic for us to gauge whether contrails should be there or not. Especially India and China. Come on. Come on. All right, guys. Thanks for joining. See you tomorrow. Have a good night.